We're doing November 22, paper 1, question 2.1. So the question is on the screen, and the question says solve for x. What we notice first of all is that we've got two fractions, right? And the fractions have got the denominator 5 and 3. So what I want to do is I want to get rid of the denominators, which means I'm going to multiply by the denominators and cancel out. The second thing you want to notice is that we've got 3 terms. And our terms are separated by this plus minus sign. So this is one term, this is our second term, and this is our third term, which means we need to multiply 3 times. So let's go ahead and do that. Our first term, we're going to multiply 3 times 5, 3 times 5. Second one, 3 times 5, and the third one, 3 times 5, times the fraction, times the 3, times the 3 over 5. So having done that, we're going to cancel out. In our first term, we've got a denominator of 5, so the 2 5s cancel out. My second term, I don't cancel anything out. And in my third term, I cancel my 3's out. So this leaves me with 3 times 3, 2x plus 7, minus 3 times 5 is 15, times 3, which gives me 5 times 5x minus 2. And now I have no more denominators. Fantastic. Having done that, I now want to simplify. I'm going to multiply out. So 3 times 3 ends up being 9. 2x. Hold on. Let's do this. I'm gonna make this 9, and then in this step I'm gonna multiply the 9 in. So 9 times 2x gives me 18x, and 9 times 7 gives me 63, if I'm not wrong. And then minus 15 times 3 is 45, and that gives me 25x minus 10. So far so good, right? I hope we're happy now. Next up, I am going to add like terms on the left hand side. So I've got 18x, and I'm going to say 63 minus 45, which gives me positive 18 is equal to 25x minus 10. So now I need to move everything to the correct side. Let's move the 18. So I'm going to say minus 18 on both sides. So I've got 18x is equal to 25x minus 28. Now, let's move our 25 to the other side, minus 25x. So I have negative 7x is equal to negative 28. Awesome. Next step, I'm going to divide by negative 7 because I want positive x, right? So that gives me positive x, and divide by negative 7. So I have x is equal to 28 divided by 7 is 4. And that's how you solve for x on question number 1 on 2.1. All right, question number 2 is a trinomial with the highest power of 2, x squared minus 10x plus 24, and I want to solve for x. Now the first thing that I notice is that I do not have any common factor. X is to the power of 1, so I'm not taking anything out. So I'm going to end up with 2 brackets are equal to 0, x in the first and x in the second. So I have 1 times 1, or 1x, and 1x gives me 1x squared. And I want to see how I can divide this or multiply this in order to get what I actually need. So my other options for 24, let's do the factors of 24. It will be 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 6, no, 3 times 8, 4 times 6, 5 does not work, and then 6 times 4 carries on. Now this part I'm not going to repeat because these two are both 1, so it doesn't matter how I multiply. This is just going to be a repeat. So I've got 4 options. The addition sum I want is going to be equal to negative 10. So when they multiply, they must give me 24, which they do. And I'm looking for an answer of negative 10. So let's do our first pair. 24 and 1 gives me either 25 or 23. 12 and 2 gives me either 14 if I add them up, or it gives me 10 if I subtract. This looks very promising. That's what I want, right? We can continue and say 8 and 3 gives me 11, or it gives me 5. 6 and 4 gives me 10, or 2. So this is the one that I want, which means, remember, this bottom one, the top one is adding and this bottom one is subtracting 1. So let's subtract. We want negative 10, which means the bigger number must be 10. The bigger number needs to be negative, which means that these two go together. I'm not doing that one. And these two go together. I'm not doing that one, which means I have x plus 2, x minus 12. So plus 2 goes here, minus 12 goes there. Having done that, I can now solve for x. I can do this bracket and say x plus 2 equals 0, or this bracket says x minus 12 equals 0. Remember, if either one of them is 0, then the final answer would be 0. So what do? I say minus 2 on both sides. X equals negative 2. That's my first answer. Or plus 12 on both sides, which means x equals 12. Those are my 2 answers for x. Just to connect it to another concept, this is a parabola or a quadratic equation. So if you were to draw this on a Cartesian plane, it would look like this. You would have an x-intercept at negative 2, you'd have an x-intercept at x is negative 2, and you'll have another x-intercept at x is 12. These will be your 2 intercepts. This is a positive parabola, so you're going to have a smiley face parabola that looks like this. And these 2 x values refer specifically to where the parabola cuts the x-axis, as you can see over here. All right, that's question 2.